lunch breakers and takers, do us a favor. Take a minute to hit that like and subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos in the future. All right, so yesterday, J.J. Watt, in a heartfelt video to the fans of Houston, announced that he requested his release from the Houston Texans, and they have granted that release. So now our man J.J. Watt is a free agent. And already there's speculation as to where he could end up. Obviously, Ravens fans want him in Baltimore. Pittsburgh fans want him in Pittsburgh. His brothers, already started recruiting him on Twitter. So the question is, where will he go?
Yeah, just to go back a little bit and talk about the release itself. J.J. Watt's 31 years old at this point. He seems older, right? It seems like he's been in the league forever.
Yeah.
But he's a 3-time, I believe, Defensive Player of the Year. He's coming off a season where he had 5 sacks, so those numbers were down, but he was still one of the top edge rushers in the league.
Yep.
He's the face of the franchise. Arguably the best player that Houston has ever had. I mean, I guess the other candidate Johnson. There would be Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
And so, he's another in a long line of people who are leaving the Houston Texans organization since Jack Easterby showed up. They've lost several high-ranking people in their organization. They've been either left voluntarily or fired. And obviously, Deshaun Watson has asked for a trade. He wants no part of being a Houston Texan anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really kind of almost a toxic situation going on in Houston. It seems like and everybody is looking for an exit.
The list is long, man. I mean, this goes back to Andre Johnson had commented on Twitter that he had an issue with ownership and management at the time. Dwayne Brown, people forget about Dwayne Brown.
Yeah.
He was their starting left tackle. He was a good left tackle, and he wanted out.
Yeah, they lost a couple of high-ranking executives. They fired their head of PR this past season. So everybody's kind of pointing to that guy Jack Easterby as kind of being the problem in Houston. Right. But this is what you see in the NFL a lot of times. If you have the owner's ear, it doesn't really matter what else is going on in your organization, and clearly he does.
Right? That's a crazy thing, right? Because every time we talk about players that could be problematic, and we talk about players that could be toxic to the locker room. Oh, you don't want him. He's a cancer to the locker room. He could destroy the team. No, players don't destroy teams. Management can destroy a team.
Yeah.
And that's the real cancer, because it's very hard to get rid of those people.
Right.
It's very hard. Like you said, they're friends with the owner or the president or whatever, and it takes a mass exodus from players. Sometimes it takes a letter from the NFLPA warning other players not to go there, Jacksonville, right? For them to really just clean house. It's very hard to change that. And, I feel bad for the Houston fans because, they were set up. Even as bad as everything was going, they could at least say, man, we still got Deshaun Watson. We can get through this.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Right. So back to the topic here. So J.J. Watt is no longer a Texan.
Nope.
According to PFS rankings, he was the number 7 edge rusher in the league. So, he's still obviously got something left. He is a guy you kind of look at as breaking down because of injuries. But the last two out of the last 3 years, he's played 16 games. He had a string of injuries, mixed in there as well. But he's still obviously worth it, right?
Yeah.
Which, begs the question, why didn't you trade him? But, that's kind of we respect JJ too much kind of thing. And, he just wants out. So whatever. He's going to be a big addition wherever he goes. Ed Word is reporting that already at least 12 teams have expressed interest in J.J. Watt, including Baltimore and Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I think Tennessee was on that list, and the Colts. For me, I don't think that this is the route that Baltimore should go unless they are looking at a near minimum type of deal. Right. Unless he's willing to take a significant pay cut to come to Baltimore. It's just, and I don't think it makes sense for J.J. Watt either to go to Baltimore. He wants to compete, right? And that's part of the reason he wanted out of Houston. They weren't being competitive. And in Baltimore, their offensive line right now is in shambles, and they don't have the talent at wide receiver. So the offense is not going to be able to do their part, even if you improve the defense even more than it already has been.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, we're not gonna. I'm not gonna go as far as say, you come to Baltimore, you're not gonna compete. Obviously, we're gonna compete, right? But you do make a good point about the O line. There's some question there. What are you gonna do to protect Lamar, right? Because he just came from a team where they didn't protect his quarterback and they got rid of his best weapon, and you saw what kind of season you had there. Now, that being said, the Ravens have a great reputation around the league,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I could see that being an attractive spot for him. However, I just can't see him picking Baltimore over Pittsburgh when his two of his brothers play there, right?
Yeah.
Two of his brothers play there, and one of his brothers is on defense. I'm sure he would love to play opposite his brother on the edge. Right.
Yeah, when I think compete, I mean for a Super Bowl. I mean, honestly, I think Baltimore's a good team. They'll be in the playoffs most likely. But if they don't fix their O line and get some wide receiver help, they're not going to be competing for a Super Bowl.
Oh, I know. I see your point. Yeah. My point is, with the reputation they have, I'm sure players have a lot of confidence that that team is doing what they need to do to fix those problems.
Well, maybe, but also, Baltimore's had the same problems for the last 3 years and they haven't fixed it.
Absolutely. But from the outside looking in and inside, looking out, it's two different perspectives, I think.
Yeah. I think this is one of those situations like Tom Brady, where he hit the market. And you're probably not going to pick a team who needs to make several moves to get where you want him to be. Like he has the luxury of being able to say this team is already stacked. This team is already competing for a Super Bowl. They're already a contender. They're already where they need to be. I can go there and just enhance that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So J.J. Watt, Kansas City Chiefs, 2021.
But you know what though? I mean, you brought up the Tampa example. Tampa wasn't a playoff team.
Yeah, but they had all the pieces that they needed.
They did. They did. That's true.
Except, I mean, I like Jameis and all, but I mean, you throw 30 interceptions, you're not going where you need to go.
Yeah. So. All right. So, question to our viewers: where do you think J.J. Watt will end up, and why? I'm picking Pittsburgh because that family connection. J.J. Watt. I mean, look, if J.J. Watt's going to go anywhere and take a pay cut, because to come to Baltimore, in my eyes, it would have to be for a minimum deal. And why would you do that to go to Baltimore where you can do that in Pittsburgh and play with your family, right?
Yeah.
And he's at the point in his career where money may not be an issue for him. But if he wants money, there's plenty of teams out there that want his services and they'll pay him.
Yeah.
Right? So I just don't see us having an advantage in any way to bring him to Baltimore. But, unless Pittsburgh says, yeah, we're not interested. Other than that, I think Pittsburgh has an advantage there. Yeah, and that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem for us.
I don't think that Pittsburgh says that. I think that they look at J.J. Watt as a convenient way to get out of the Bud Dupree situation, which is, they were going to, he was going to demand a major, just a massive contract there, right? Yeah. I mean, he's been playing really well. He was looking to get paid, and then he tore his ACL. So now it's like, do we want to invest that same kind of money in Bud Dupree? Do you want to try and get him back on a 1-year deal and see how he bounces back from that? It was kind of a situation where you have to navigate that injury, right? You don't want to pay somebody while they're hurt. It's just, it's not ideal. Right. Now they can say, hey, we got a better player, probably cheaper. And everybody loves the DJ Watt story. People love, old G.I. Joe over there. So, they can let Bud Dupree leave, probably get overpaid somewhere else. And Steeler fans won't be upset about it, at least in theory, right? I do think he ends up in Pittsburgh also. But, like I said, leave your comments or send us an email at lbhtshow@gmail. Tell us where you think he's going to go. And also, do you want Baltimore to go after him?
Yeah, and if you want us to go after him, how much are you willing to spend? That's the thing. Like, how much are you willing to spend for J.J. Watt? Now, he's still a really good player. Right, we have a need at edge rusher. Are you willing to spend a decent amount to bring him in, and you'll know he'll be an upgrade over what we currently have, or are you like these guys right here? # defund the defense. Okay, great player, Yes, he'll provide some value on defense, but all of our focus needs to go on offense. Okay, this is
Yeah.
one of these moves where we have to be disciplined and say, hey, that's very attractive over there, but that's not what we need. We need to fix the O line and we need to get a wide receiver. That's the
Yeah.
number one
You know what
priority.
I want to hear too? I want to hear if you want to go and pay JJ Watt, what position do you want to go without? What position do you want that to take priority over?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I every time we bring up a wide receiver, every time we talk about Allen Robinson or Mike Williams or Kenny Galladay, we get comments about, oh, well, they can't afford to pay those guys, right?
yeah,
So if you want to go pay JJ Watt, I want also your comment to include what position needs to go without. Do you want to not get a center? Do you want to not replace Orlando Brown? Do you want to not bring in another wide receiver? What is it?
yeah. That's a good point. All right, look, we told you guys this offseason is gonna be active. It's gonna be active, and we want to hear from you guys. We have a lot to talk about. So this going into the weekend. JJ Watt's not gonna make a decision until sometime this following week. So the speculation will build. We'll keep a close eye on this, and as news comes out, we'll have more to say.